Good afternoon. It is August 30th, 2022, and today looks like to me, just looks like we got a leg down. I'm sure there's probably two legs in here of some sort. And you can see we hit this measured move of the overnights, found some support, and just went a little further. So that could just be it. But we don't need to read too much into that. Here's the daily chart. You can see our overshoot led to a break, and now we have two legs down, perhaps two measured legs, just about. But I'm expecting this sell-off to be moving on a little bit longer, especially if we break below this, which would make that like a failed second entry long. But let's look at these trades, and maybe I missed something in here. We'll see. So I think this was a little bit before 5 a.m., but to me this looks like a failure. Even though we have a tick higher here, it looks like a first entry, failed second entry long, and that is the high of the day. So you could perhaps ride that down. So we do get a spike in channel. I do believe this transparent channel is valid as well. However, this pink channel, definitely, you can see the midline. You can see the highs of this channel are holding prices. You can see we get two touches on the low side. So anyway, we're in that spiking channel. Kind of looks like congestive almost. But by the time you get this second entry short, that's also a first failed second entry long, you should have this trend channel drawn. And I think you can enter this. Once you see this bar forming, I think you can enter one tick below this. And that would have been the only way you could have gotten in it, probably. Come down here, nothing in here. Maybe you enter this on a second entry short. These are equal lows. And you get a first entry, second entry. That'd be tough to do because this looks like a range, and these, you got two trend lines together. So it's just a little iffy in my opinion, and how I would feel, especially it closed above the EMA. That turns out to be a good move. Come up here, and we have this like range-like channel here. Oh, okay, I marked this red, but I think someone on the forum asked about this, and they actually got trapped here. Yeah, so, okay, so that person and myself had the same trend line, and so let's take a look at this. I even marked it. That's kind of funny. This is a second entry short, and it looks like you would have gotten 450. Wow, one tick in your favor. I think that should be two ticks. Oh, okay, because your entry is there. And then it would have stopped you out. So it kind of doesn't look like a second entry. It kind of looks like one leg down. That's one thing. It is a doji. But yeah, I mean, and you're going into the midline. This is definitely a trend channel, and you're going into the midline of that channel. So maybe I'll have to post an image of that. So yeah, that's something to think about. Here's a failure, but I don't think you would want to take that. It closes above the EMA right here. I'm just not too sure about that one. I would look at this as a double top, first entry, failed second entry long, confirming that trend channel. You might take that just because this sell-off is really strong. We bounced down here after getting an overshoot of the transparent channel. And I'm not going long today because this was a pretty strong sell-off. this channel, we get a break. You get a second entry down here, but I wouldn't be taking longs below the EMA. If you want to go long, you get a higher low right here. But even that I don't really like. But if you get this failure and you see this trend line, and you know we are probably going to make a new high or attempt a new high, I think you can take this. I think that's a good trade. Nothing in here. I think they trap people right here taking a failure that were too eager. But you do get a second entry short. And I think that's a good place to go short. Not too short. I don't think in real time I would like this. I would prefer I would stay out of it because it's not off a trend line. And then we're pretty much going sideways with an upward bias. You get a first entry failed, second entry long. I like the way that sets up, but it's not off a trend channel. Come down here, bounce here, and then we get confirmation of this trend line. It is a second entry long, but the bias is just very down, and you really only have like 3 ticks back to the EMA. We fail to come to the highs of that channel, and it turns out we're just in a range. You can see it slide down. No entries in there, though. Then we get a second entry short. Looks like a good trap because people playing this trend channel might be taking that. I'm going to delete this trend channel now. And then you get a first entry failed, second entry long, and that gets you a scalp, but then it bounces. And I really shouldn't be marking this because we're in a range at this point. We come up here, you get this trend confirmed up here, but there's no way it would trick you. And then you get this failed second entry short right here, but we're in a range. And they're going into the highs. And you can see this trend channel is losing steam. So that's one way to stay out of that. And then it goes higher and fails. This is kind of tempting, but it's not a setup according to the rules. And you get a really nice failure right here. First entry, failed second entry long. I just don't like that it is not off a trend line. This trend line, actually, no, that would confirm this trend line. So you might take that. I kind of like it. But if you're patient, you get a first entry, second entry. These are matching lows, but that looks like a second entry short to me, and it is off that trend line. Then we get this range right here, and you get, really, we form this price level right here, tested it once, tested it a second time, and then we tested a third time right here. That is also, so it's a triple test, a second entry short, and you could argue for it to be a failure, even though it sets up above the EMA. So that's a great trade right there. And you can see a lot of people like that. If begin a spike and channel down, you get a first entry, second entry, but I don't, this looks like one leg up to me. This kind of looks like a hidden failure and maybe a lower high off of a second entry. So maybe you take that, but that's pushing it, I think. And then we spike up into this range, and I don't like too much in here. This is just too congestive up here. And then we get this, looks like a second entry long and like a quadruple test of this, so you might take that. Gets you a scalp. Plenty of room back to the EMA. I like that. Just for 4 ticks. And then you get a second entry long confirming this trend line right here. I like that. Room to the highs. Very good trade. And that leads us into 1230. And you got a second entry long right here. You might take that for a scalp. But I don't know. That kind of looks like one leg down. I'd be a little too scared for a failure right there. Then they trap people on this high or low trying to ride it back to the EMA, but that's where it goes eventually. So if you got trapped on that, just watch out for these dojis. Oh, and then you get this first entry, second entry. That also is a failed second entry long. So there you have it. That's what I saw for the day. There were some good trades in here. Some good traps too that you just got to be aware of. But other than that, had a great day. Hope you guys had a great day too. I'll be back tomorrow.